Welcome to the Sweep College Baseball Weekend Series predictions, where this week is now week 13. Coming into the weekend, we have 5 incredible series to predict. Every week we do that. You can see our cumulative record on the screen. I'm at 33, 26, and 1. Kevin, 26, 33, and 1. Overall, we're sitting just at 500. You can see we have a few ties there from last week with NC State and Florida State not finishing up their series, only having 2 games there and splitting it. So we got that little tie number there, making it look all ugly. But looking past that, starting with our, number 1 first series to predict, we have number 3 Clemson going to number 14 Wake Forest. Both these teams have looked at parts of the season to be one of the best teams in the nation. Obviously, Wake Forest kind of starting that the beginning of the year or beginning of the season, but definitely dropped off. Both these teams have a similar build. Offense can put up crazy numbers. Pitching has been a little iffy for both these teams, but Clemson has just been a little bit more consistent. So I'm gonna go with them, with Clemson here. We have seen Wake Forest struggle at home a bit too, so I think there is opportunity for a team like Clemson to come in and pick up a series on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Clemson here as well. I do think these teams match up pretty evenly, but I do think Clemson just has a little bit more of that winning formula. They just seem to win a lot of those close games, those competitive games, and those competitive high end series. So, going to stick with them here, even though it's on the road, but I do think it will be a close one.
Yep. Next up, we have number 11 Mississippi State going to number 6 Arkansas. Arkansas definitely has hit a little bit of a struggle recently, where their offense has not been clicking at all. Pitching staff has struggled a little bit more than they have for most of the year, so giving up a few more runs, and that's all that matters when your offense can't really do anything. Mississippi State, a team that has looked good against pretty much everyone they've faced, even when they come up on the losing end of things, they still happen to scrape a win. So I'm going to predict an Arkansas series win here, but Mississippi State not getting swept. Even though they're on the road here, I think Mississippi State will be very competitive. But I think the pitching staff is just so dominant for Arkansas, especially at home, that they'll be able to edge this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at this one the same exact way. I do think Mississippi State will be able to scrap one across, but this Arkansas pitching staff at home is just seems untouchable for most of the year. So I'm going to go with Arkansas as well. They just need just enough run support to win this series, and I think they'll get that.
Yep, and next up, another ACC matchup here with number 16 NC State going to number 8 Virginia. Virginia has looked very consistent for a pretty long time here. I'm kind of surprised that they're this high in the rankings just from how I believe how good the team is. I don't think they're necessarily the number 8 team in the nation, but they just have shown up against all the bad teams in the conference and have a few solid series wins against good teams. But we have seen NC State be very unpredictable. They can play with the best of them, but also play down to the worst teams in the conference, and even out of conference losing some games there. So yeah, this is definitely a tough one to choose, especially on the road for NC State. I would like to say that they probably might not have the edge here, but I'm gonna go with NC State against my better judgment here. Even though they're on the road, I think they'll just get this one for some reason. Just take it on Virginia here.
Your slightly better judgment is actually my confidence. I'm also going NC State here. I do like the fact that they play up and down to the opponent's level because they play very well in these high end series, especially on the road. And like you said, I think the Virginia team is solid, but potentially a little overrated on the rankings side of things. This NC State team, not sure they're one of the best teams in the country, but they certainly play with the best of them. And I think this is another series we'll see them do well on the road. We just saw them split with Florida State, who's one of the best teams in the country. So I am going to go with NC State here.
Yeah, so we're 3 for 3 on choosing the same teams here, so not looking great. When it happens like this, usually our record does not end up looking too good by the end of the week. But Next up, we have number 21 Arizona going to Utah. I think this is the 1 versus 2 in the conference here, so very, very important series for both teams, especially Utah, whose RPI is not in a great spot right now. Arizona pretty locked in to making the tournament here, but Utah definitely needs to have a few solid weeks to be able to be in a good place come tournament selection day. But here, I just have a hunch that Arizona's going to have the edge over Utah. I think their pitching staff on the weekend has looked very, very good recently for the most of the conference year. They've just looked pretty dominant. Their pitching, which is usually not something Arizona is good at, especially with their home field there, it's just hit city. But this year they're locking it down, and yeah, the starting pitching rotation is super impressive, and I think that'll maybe even be more escalated on the road, and which is why they're getting sweeps pretty much every weekend, no matter if it's home or away.
Yeah, this is a really tough one here. I am behind a bit in the standings here, so I'm going to go with Utah. I do have a little bit of faith here. They have one of the better Friday night starters in the Pac 12, and I think he may be able to hold that Arizona offense to limited runs on that Friday night, maybe give Utah that first game win, and I do think they have a good chance to scrap away one of the next two if they do that. So I'm going to go with Utah here, and they do have that benefit of being at home.
Nice. And our last series to predict, we're going back to the SEC, is number 17 Georgia going to number 13 South Carolina. This should be a super competitive series. Both Georgia and South Carolina are in a pretty good spot. They're definitely trending upwards in the conference here, especially Georgia after that last weekend series sweep versus Vandy. So super impressive there. Their offense is definitely clicking. I think there could be a lot of offensive fireworks this week, but I'm going to give the edge here to South Carolina at home.
Yeah, both of these teams have sweeps over Vandy, so fun little fact there. I'm also going to go with South Carolina at home here. Tempted to take Georgia on a weekend where Charlie Condon is likely to become the new home run king, and so exciting weekend for him and the Georgia team to see that in person. But I do think South Carolina is just very consistent at home, and I think maybe just a little better overall than Georgia.
Nice. All right. Well, this is back-to-back weeks now where we chose 4 out of 5 same teams here, so could go very well. It could go very poorly. Last week went a little bit our way, so hopefully we can go back-to-back there. But be sure to pay attention for early next week where we review all of this as well as put out our new rankings. And until then, we'll see you.